Welcome back to Bill's Bets and Beers. Got a good video for you tonight. First live. I have Command This podcast going on, and I got my buddy Evan, football fan of everything, and he knows Bengals, but knows everything about football. So I'll get those guys in here right now. Yeah. So what's going on, guys? Excited for the game coming up?
Yeah, let's go.
It's going.
Oh man. So I really wanted to start this off with it's gonna seem like cheesy, but I obviously find enemy lines. I got some. I just got some questions about what you guys think about your franchise and of the recent past and of the future. What you think is gonna happen? So how did it feel? Or I'm sure that a lot of fans maybe lost track with all these name changes and all this. It's not like you guys moved, but the name change, that's bad enough. So how did it feel and going through having three different names within the past 4 years? And especially with content, if you were creating them, you had to change your channel and get right stuff. You know what I mean? How did that go about?
We have rebranded twice because the team won't stop freaking changing their name.
Wow.
We started out as the Redskins Addicts back in 2020, and then we rebranded to Washington Football Addicts, thinking they would keep that name. And then when they rebranded again, we finally you know what, we'll just go something a little off-brand and went with Command This. It was a spinoff of Command These.
Yeah, I like it.
But, that's probably a little more PC. And so, yes, it was a little weird. I could care less about the name. Some people hung up on it. Some people have a preference. I kind of like Red Wolves. Phil's going to shoot me for that. But yeah, I could care less about the name. I'll cheer for him no matter what. But some people they will stand their ground on their name. Well, for sure.
I, on the other hand, will stand my ground on certain name. I hated Red Wolves. That was a popular one. Media types. Some people like Washington Football Team. To me, I think that's if your favorite flavor is air because water is too spicy for you. But it's just nice that of all that were finalists, to me, Commanders is by far the least bad, great. But to me, at least, okay, you got an identity. And I'll take that over just the football team. If you have an identity you can build off of, and I'm glad. I'm just hoping that we just continue to just put this in the rear view. Let's build let's build off of the history and create something new with it, and just build era, new ownership, same franchise name.
Yeah, you're getting a little choppy there. I'm not sure.
Typical. I'm on Wi-Fi.
No, that's okay, man. I'm just giving you a heads up so you know it's not what's going on. But yeah, that's I kind of what I expected from having the thing yesterday with you guys. You guys seemed like that wouldn't bother you, but I figured you probably had some friends, man, who might have left. So
yeah, we call a lot of those people never commanders. They're it's Redskins till we die, and there's actually a group that was started called I don't want to get political here, but it's called NAGA, Native American Guardians Association. It's ran by the same group of people with the word NAGA rhymes with. And so it's just all cheer mode. It's very divisive. You know what I mean? So, the less name talk, the better, at least in our fan base. For the most part.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
I'm glad. I figured most fans will stick around. It's different than them moving. I can understand that's a whole different thing where they're rebranding everything and you're going to the owners picking up and moving, which I guess it would be kind of hard. Like the Rams, they literally switched cities twice. They went back to the same one. So I mean,
we got a new owner though, so it's almost like being a new team in a new name, new name-ish, new owner. which was great. Everyone wanted Dan Snyder gone, so it is kind of a new beginning for us. We do appreciate that.
Yeah.
Go Phil.
Yeah, your picture's coming in a lot better now.
That's promising.
Yes. So I know it's early in the season and we don't know how Sam Howell's going to be doing, but what is your guys' like a realistic outcome that you guys would be happy about this year? Like if the Reds, sorry, you guys got me in that. If the Commanders get to this step this year, we would be happy. Like where you wouldn't be like, and also on the ladder of that, what would be a disappointment for you this year? I know it's like it's like a turnstile year in a sense where you don't know how it's going to go, but it seems like pieces are falling right so far. Starting off 2-0, you guys haven't done that since I was talking to I have a buddy at work, he's a Commanders fan. You haven't done that since 2012. And like if you guys do go 3-0, you haven't done that since 2002 or 3 or something like that. It's been a while. So how do you guys feel? Like what's your guys' like standpoints in those?
Yeah, last time we went 3-0 to start the season was 2005. It's the last year we won a playoff game too. I've said it from day one of the offseason. 10 wins and a playoff berth. That's the expectation. You shoot for nothing less. This is the year they've completely recycled almost the entire roster in 3 years. Now it's time you got to take that next step. You surprisingly won the division at 7-9. You stayed about the same at 7-10 the following year. You were 8-1 last year, half step up. Now you got to take that step forward. You got to be a double-digit win team. You've got to make the playoffs. Yes, we're in the same division as Dallas and Philly, who both look pretty good, but you've got to make that challenge. So 10 wins in a playoff berth. That is the goal.
Okay.
At least for me. A disappointment would be anything below 9 wins. You got to have at least a winning record. But anything at 8 wins or less, total disappointment.
Yeah, Chad, it's kind of a loaded question. I know it's a simple question, but it's also a loaded question because you're asking us what's success for us. We've been in turmoil for a long time, and this is Ron Rivera's 4th year as a coach. So we're kind of expecting, coaches by their 4th year, they should have it figured out, right? But he's dealt with cancer. He's dealt with a name change. He's dealt with ownership change. He's dealt with GM changes. So it's kind of a very complex answer to such a simple question. I mean, for me, I'm with Phil with the wins and losses. Ron has to get to the playoffs this year. It's your 4th year. I know you dealt with a lot, but success for me would be to know or not know if Sam Howell's the guy. 5th round pick. We didn't have to, spend capital to move up to the 1st round like everyone else does. So if we know that Sam Howell is the guy, and metrics, whatever metrics anyone wants to use, but if we know he's our guy, we can build forward in the future. If we know that he's not our guy, we can go get our guy. So to me, yes, I love a playoff, but I want a damn quarterback. So that's my personal measure of success, is knowing whether or not we have a quarterback.
That makes sense. Sorry, I was meant to be kind of semi-loaded, where it was like when the Bills are coming up and they like everything started to seem going right. It's like, what would be a good step when we first started? We got into the playoffs, but we lost. What would be a good step the next year? Obviously, getting that playoff win, and if you can't even get in, then you would definitely, it would be a disappointment. And it's like, now
we won 8 games with Taylor Heineke and Carson Wentz at quarterback. So I know Sam Howell is more capable than both of those guys. So there's no reason why we shouldn't keep trending up. Ron's trending up every year, and his wins just by 1 every year. But we finished, 8-8-1 last year. 8-8-1?
8-8-1.
8-8-1 last year. So we didn't have a losing season. So yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. It's good to see that. Yeah, I'm gonna skip the one thing I was gonna ask. It was about Sam Howell, but it's too early. I'm like, just
save it.
I'm not gonna put you on the spot for that.
Yeah, dude, don't make me have to go off. Okay.
But yeah, I just kind of wanted to get just a couple questions off. And so actually one last one. How many like you guys live around the area close enough? How many like home games do you usually like to go to a year? like actually in person? I know you guys got families and things, but like, what is like, what would you like to do at like if you had the chance? Like, not like, oh, I'm going to go to all of them, but like, I used to go to one before I got season tickets. I always want to do one a year, the home opener or something like that, and just get there to the game just to say I went to one because it's a nice. I love the atmosphere.
Well, 2 years in a row, Phil and I have both gone to the home opener. I live, I don't know, 10 minutes from the stadium. I used to have season tickets. We had them for 10 years, and then we had started having kids, and then it just doesn't work out anymore. So the ideal situation for me would be every home, 8 home games, because I live right around the corner from the stadium. Phil's a little bit farther, so it's a big trip for him. But with family, with kids, if I could make it to 2 games, I'm happy. 3 would be awesome. So right now, Phil and I are getting together for at least 2 games a year for the last 2 years. So
That's awesome.
Phil would probably
Yeah,
love to
and
go
then
more.
I see. I live 2.5 hours away from the stadium, so for me, and it's all highway miles. It's not like 2.5 hours of DC traffic, which on a weekday can just get you from one side of the city to the other. But for me, I'm coming from the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia, so it's a long drive. It's a lot of miles.
Yeah.
And usually I have to go up the night before, get a place to stay, and I just meet Steve, at his place early in the morning, help him load up his grill because
Yeah, so I got this tailgate situation. That was awesome.
well,
Yeah.
I will say this, Steve, I can grill, but I step back when this man's on the grill. He is a pit master.
Love my grill.
But no, I mean, ideally 2-3 games a year. I mean, all things considered, with how it takes an entire weekend for me, basically, to do it. Yeah, that's ideal. If I lived closer, it would be more.
Yeah, I'm kind of in your boat. I'm in the middle of the state, so like Buffalo's like 2 hours from my house. So like me and my brother leave my house around like, I don't know, like 5:36 in the morning, just to get there so we can actually tailgate and not just be stuck in traffic until it starts, pretty much. So you get there all set.
That's what we do. FedEx Field has the notorious red zone lot, where all the best tailgates happen, and it's funny because that's where a lot of the Washington content creators tend to gather too, and it gets to be real lively. They had a big tailgate for week 1, new ownership, everything else, and they had 900 people RSVP for this one tailgate, and we got in there early, like we showed up about 8:20 in the morning, started unloading and getting going, and we got there, like I said, we got there at 8:20, and we weren't up front. We got close enough because someone happened to just be dropping off someone, and we stuck the truck right in right in the parking space. But we got lucky on that one. Otherwise, we would have been probably at the far end of all the action. It's one thing I'll say about this: bad times and good, like the true fans that show up to tailgate and everything. It's a party. I know Bill's Mafia has a reputation. But DC, DC's the home of things like go-go and mumbo sauce. We bring a unique music, a unique vibe, a unique feeling and culture to the stadium. And if you ever get the chance to come down, first of all, come say hi to us if we're there.
Yeah, of course.
But secondly, if you ever get the chance to go, you'll see it's got a flavor all of its own. It's tons of fun.
Well, just hearing you guys have an actual lot, and I'm guessing it's not owned by the stadium. It's probably like an extra lot next to it, or is it like?
No, it's a stadium lot. It just happens to be where everybody gathers for the tailgates.
I mean, so there's different color lots that are closer to the stadium. The red zone lot is a little bit off, but the thing about the red zone lot is it has its own entry and exit. It's still on stadium grounds, but the spots are double wide. So it's designed, it's designed to park your car, truck, and then pop your tent up right next to it, and that's one spot. Where the rest of the spaces are just a single spot, and people take up multiple ones, but a little more freedom in the red zone lot. That's all.
Yeah, I understand. I saw how it kind of was laid out from I watched that video. It had a home opener.
Yeah.
It's like that makes sense. Where like it felt similar to what like some of these like I some people have these backyards where I swear they cemented over and they have these people park back there. So they know they're gonna get thousands of dollars throughout the year just for Bills games. But
why not, right?
exactly. But yeah, let's get into the injury report's nothing. I mean, basically all we got is Logan Thomas. Okay, we got Logan Thomas is out. Dawson Knox ended up getting full. Same thing with Micah. He's Micah Hyde, Leonard Floyd. Everyone's full board at a full practice. So definitely makes the game a little bit more interesting now with everyone healthy on the Bill side. And it's at least it was only the Logan Thomas for you guys. So I mean, I think it was an offensive tackle that was also hurt or something like that. No, Kane was hurt. Kane was on limited, so he's full now. So that's good for you guys. You guys get the double monster on the DNs now. So
yep. But I will say
Actually-
we talked about this yesterday, Chad. But the weather was a maybe, and it looks like the weather is going to be 100% go on Sunday. So right now it's sitting at like 90% around 7 a.m. because that tropical. It was a tropical storm. Now it's a tropical depression. But coming up to game time, it's 100%, and then as it gets closer to about noon, about 65 degrees is 73%, and then at game time it's right around 60. It's going to be from heavy rain to light rain. So it looks like the field's going to be garbage or just soaked.
To be so like
Yeah.
I think my coworker was saying it's supposed to be like drop a couple inches of rain.
Yeah.
It's
Starting tonight.
And he was saying like they go, I'm not sure if they're gonna have the game. I go, well they would have to decide that like yesterday.
Yeah.
Like I don't think they could make
just
it
rain. So there is not like thunder storm. It's just rain. They'll play.
I will also point out, first of all, we had that notorious game in 2019 against the 49ers before they completely redid the field, where it was literally you were playing on a lake.
Yeah.
But after 2019, they redid the entire drainage system. They resodded the field with brand new grass. They've done a lot to fix that field because that field was the worst in the NFL. So many guys tore ACLs on that field. It doesn't happen like that anymore, luckily. But yeah, FedEx's reputation is very unfortunate, but because of years of neglect. But in the past couple of years, they've really done a lot to change that. So the field is going to be wet, but I don't think it's going to be a hazardous playing surface. And it is natural grass; it's not turf either. So
yeah, that's good. That's good to know. I mean, as long as no one's getting hurt, that's all that really matters.
Exactly.
So, yeah, let's get right into our. We kind of beat the death like on the other one of like storylines. So I kind of went a different route with this one. I wanted to go just like it's gonna be impact players of the game. So it's gonna be one from the offense and one from the defense. So not just like one side, and this is just a player that's gonna have to show up for you guys to win the game. Like if this player doesn't show out, it's gonna make you not like you lose, but it's gonna make it towards that losing end. I did some for both the teams just to do it, but to a different perspective. Mine on the Bills was tight end Kincaid. I think now with both them there, obviously the tight ends in general, but I think still Kincaid because I think they're still going to use Dawson Knox as a kind of a chipper on one side, and whoever's strongest pass rush at that point of the day. But I just see if he can get that open, and that kind of makes you guys either drop a safety towards him, or it'll free up the line a little bit, so our run game can have a better chance of being productive. Just to kind of lose like the build up right in front of the line because we're not running it that often, but you're going to try to get to Josh Allen. And if we can kind of limit that pressure area in there and kind of have a release valve with you guys having to drop people back, not have to worry about that middle more, I think that helped the Bills out. And then for the defense, I put Russo, our defensive end. Same thing, like if he can get that pressure off the end, because talking to you guys yesterday, like that's where your weakness is in the tackles. If he can make Sam Howell kind of get off his line, keep him in the pocket, obviously, because he can run if he needs to, but just get off his line and make him hurry up and have to throw, then it's going to make some mistakes happen. I think that's because I'm not saying Josh Allen's too obvious, obviously, but I want to go towards like other players where I think that's going to help cause the effect that I would like for the game.
And does Russo play on the left side or the right side? Do you know, or do they move him around?
I think he moves around.
Okay,
but Floyd, it's gonna be him and Floyd.
Yeah. I'll go first. So for me, it's kind of a counter. That's why I asked your last question. I think it has to be our outside pass rush, our bookend. It's Charles Lynn on the left, Andrew Wiley on the right. So it's not that they've been bad. They've been right about average, middle of the pack, but their bad moments come in crucial times. And Eric Bieniemy has always waited till, I don't know, feels second quarter, maybe a little longer, to adjust the way he's calling the game, because he puts him out on an island for like the whole first quarter, and it's like, pressure. Yeah. And then he finally adjusts with a chip, or then he started going to the screen game. So those guys have to be able to hold their edge so Sam can step up into a pocket as opposed to getting flushed outside of the pocket. So for me, it's kind of I just say the bookends need to show up if we're going to be successful on offense. And on defense, I'm going to go with Benjamin St. Juste because he's our Canadian cornerback, and he's most likely going to be lined up on Stephon Diggs. So I think that'll be our X factor on defense. What you got, Phil?
I'm going to say this. On offense for the Commanders, I'm going to say the key is our X factor on offense. It's got to be Antonio Gibson. Antonio does really well in the screen game. He was a hybrid running back wide receiver coming out of college. He was our leading rusher 2 years ago. Last year, he kind of went into a part-time role, and now he's more of a third down back, change of pace guy. But we need some explosive plays, and I feel like that one of the things that's happened with his reduced role is that he's not keyed on as much, which should give him the opportunity, if he gets the ball in his hands, to make some plays. And he did make a couple last week against Denver. So Antonio Gibson would be the one that I think needs to have a breakout to really help the offensive side of the ball. On defense, Cam Curl. Cam Curl is our hybrid nickel, big nickel, Buffalo nickel, whatever you want to call him, hero back if you're a Penn State fan. He needs to come up big because of the fact that with the Bills having two solid tight ends, especially in the pass game, I think that it is very important that he have a big game and that he's a big hitter. So for him to keep his presence in the middle, get those receivers hearing footsteps, whether it be tight ends, wide receivers, whoever, and to help with stopping the run, that's going to be key. On the Bills side, I kind of went with a similar set because I said that for the Bills to win, what really helped them is to keep balance. So James Cook's got to have a big game. If they can stop him early and put the Bills into a one-dimensional situation, that actually plays right into our defense's hands. Because when teams can run on them, that's when things get a little suspect. Because then now they're not sure what's coming. If they can stop the run early and force the teams to go one-dimensional, that's where things take over. That's what happened last week against Denver. The minute we started stifling the run and forced them to just throw, that's when we started coming back. But early on, they were running the ball on us. For the Buffalo's defense, I'm going to say that I'm going to say Mike Hyde. Again, safeties, both coming up to stop the run, because we do have a power run game. You're going to need that. You're going to need all the help you can get with that one. Even though we're not a big yards per carry kind of team, we are a 3 yards in a cloud of dust kind of run game. We just keep it moving forward little by little. So he's got to have a big game coming up to support the run, stopping the pass, because we do have some talent at wide receiver. So I think that he needs to have a big game as well to help Buffalo's defense.
So I got a couple. Like I said, I don't know your guys' team as well as you do, but I picked out for the offense. I picked Terry McLaurin only because in my mind, if the Bills have to, I don't think they're going to drop a safety first. I think they're going to try to have White cover him, or have Benford cover him one-on-one in a sense, with maybe a little safety help, like just kind of peeking on it. But if he starts getting trouble, getting like multiple receptions in a row, they're going to have to drop a safety back there, and it's going to prevent us from really trying to stop the run, because that's what you guys are going to try to do first. But if they start getting passes out to McLaurin, we're going to have to thin out a little bit there, and I don't like that. So if we can ideally only have one, we play like man, we play zone, but you know what I mean. Have that going. If that's how it's, I don't want that. I don't want to see that. We're gonna have to push someone else that way and not have as much pressure up on you guys. And then on the defense, I chose Chase Young, because if he can if he's going to be probably going against Spencer Brown at one point, if he can rip out and get past him, which Brown played well last week, but I think it's because he had a tight end at all times helping him out, where he did his own, but you had a tight end chipping, which you still might be there. Who knows? But if he can get around that and still beat a double team, he's going to make Allen have to make a quick throw, or flush out. And if you guys keep him bottled in, he's going to try to make a dangerous decision, and that could be bad for the Bills. So that's where I kind of went that myself.
The funny thing you said about Terry McLaurin, clearly he's our best receiver. There's no question. But he hasn't been the most targeted. He doesn't have the most receptions, but he does have the most yards. I think teams have been keying on Terry McLaurin, which has been hard to get him the ball. But Sam Howell, he's been spreading the ball out across our posse, our triplets, whatever you're going to call them, between Curtis Samuel, second round Jahan Dotson out of Penn State, and Terry. So Curtis has 8 receptions, Jahan has 8, and Terry has 7. That's a pretty even. They each have 73, 62, and 85 yards respectively. So it's extremely even. There hasn't been one receiver who has kind of emerged yet to be Sam's target, but because I think the teams have been keying on Terry. So I imagine Buffalo will continue to do the same. So he'll probably target Curtis Samuel and Jahan Dotson even more. It was Logan Thomas. He had 11 targets before he went down, and he went down in the first quarter. So we're going to need a tight end to step up, because a tight end is one of the young quarterback's best friend. So, but I didn't give my Bills players. I failed to give them on for your side as well. But I kind of agree with you guys on offense. It's an easy one, but it's Josh Allen. He's gotta. He can't play the hero ball. You know what I mean? And we talked about this yesterday, Chad. He's got to have a very smooth game. Don't try to take it into your hands. You don't have to put the world on your shoulders type of thing. And like he did last game, it was a very productive in game. And for someone who has Josh Allen on 2 of his fantasy teams, it was pretty awesome. And then on the defensive side, I am going to go with, once again, it's a double answer, but your defensive ends. You said Floyd and Russo. Just inverse to going against our tackles. So Josh Allen on offense, and your bookends on defense.
And I think you had said something about how your defensive ends rotate, or your defense rotates. the Bills are like it's Sean McDermott is like the king almost of rotating everyone on that defensive line. Like, so at some point there's different people going in, but yeah, they're going to be the ones they're the more powerful ones. I mean, we have a couple other ones that are very good, but those are the ones I think are going to make the most impact. Of course, same here. So
yeah. Are you happy with Ken Dorsey so far as an offensive coordinator? I know it's only like his second year. He's coming up. He came up, but wasn't the best quarterback. You know, I liked him in Miami. He didn't do much in the NFL. But how is he okay as a coordinator?
Oh yeah, like you'll see. I'm sure you saw the reaction. Actually, might not have, but as a Bills fan, you see the reactions that he has up there when he's calling these things. Like, I forgot what play. It was one of the games last year. It was everything went to shit. He's like flipped out. He freaking like threw his hands on the desk, threw everything everywhere, and they're just like, obviously there's a camera on the booth, and they're just showing this to like the screen on TV, and it's like he's very like his energy's all there. Like he wears it right on his shirt. So like when he's pumped, you see him and like you're like he's like almost like a fan, like watching it. So I love it. I mean, I was questionable about it. Like I said, I'm questionable about it because he was a quarterback's coach, and we're kind of keeping the same system going. And it's not like saying the system hasn't worked because we've gone 13-3, 2 out of 3 years, so it has worked. You know, he didn't do bad last year, but it's like whenever we get to certain situations, it seems like it just doesn't work. So I would have liked kind of more of a fresh eyes, but I like more of like, I guess it's better to have the consistency. See, I guess consistency is better than a fresh eyes, but if we stay in this rut, we only have another year or so, really, with a solid window. I mean, with Allen, we have a good window, but having to pay him a higher contract amount, and then keeping other key players, it's going to be harder. So,
yeah,
I'm just hoping, going off of the first 2 weeks, and just the change from game 1 to game 2, where he got Allen to go, like, say, listen, my game plan would have worked against the Jets. Listen to what I'm doing. Like, we're not saying that don't go out there and do all this stuff. You know what I mean? But just do it when you need to. If our stuff stops, if my stuff stops working, do an off script. Do something. Do a Josh Allen Superman thing if it needs to be done. You know what I mean? But until that happens, it was weird seeing Allen play like that against the Raiders.
Yeah. Well, the reason I asked you about Ken Dorsey is because, and no one seems to be talking about this, but you know, Sean McDermott comes from the Ron Rivera tree. All right. And Ken Dorsey was Ron Rivera's quarterback's coach. Sean McDermott was Ron Rivera's defensive coordinator in Carolina. So there's some familiarity there. And I don't know if, you know, the student will surpass it. Clearly he surpassed the teacher, but will they know each other's tendencies? And if any of it, will that experience benefit one side or the other? But no one seems to be talking about the fact that McDermott, who's a fantastic coach, clearly the record states that, came off of Ron's tree. And so there might be some, I don't know, there might be some familiarity there that can benefit one or the other.
Well, especially on the defense with how you guys do your rotations and kind of play I think you guys don't play man. You guys play more like you guys play you guys don't play a lot of man, right?
Depends.
Yeah, it started out a lot of zone, but the man coverage, I believe, is more surprising than people would think. It just seems that way.
Okay.
They don't blitz a lot, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. So I mean, you guys got the 4 to make the pressure, but
yeah.
Yeah. That is a very interesting concept. I think it will factor because like they're going to know kind of what each other is gonna be playing because Sean McDermott's calling the defense, or I mean there was things going around that he was talking to like the defensive assistant coordinator or whatever, where he might be able to call them or something like that, or like during the game. I don't think it's actually happening. I think he's doing both. I haven't really dove too deep into that rabbit hole too much yet because the defense has been playing pretty good, so I'm not upset with whatever's going on. But there is something like that going on, possibly. But I think it's Sean McDermott doing the plays. I think it was just that Jets game. Like, it was like how the game played out, even though the defense was doing good, it was just so much to focus on for him. It's just like, I think he kind of realized probably during preseason, like, hey, this is kind of a lot. Calling defensive plays, being a head coach, focusing on like time, like doing the right timeouts and all these other things, you know? It's like, it's a lot for a coach to do on the field.
No, absolutely. And that's one of the things I'm actually happy about. I mean, Rivera is a defensive guy. Well known for it, former defensive coordinator in this league. And what we've noticed is that while he has certain philosophies, he lets Del Rio coach that defense. He has his input. He has philosophies that he wants to approach the game with. But in the end, he's done a really good job of just letting, Del Rio kind of, just let him cook. And, we've had a top 5, top 7 defense 2 of the past 3 years. And, looking to take that next leap here. So that is interesting. I always find it interesting when coaches try to be coordinators, how well that works out for them. Some it does, some it doesn't. So,
yeah. But at the end of the day, they're all off of Andy Reid's tree as the godfather. Because the McDermott also worked for Andy Reid on the Eagles, just like Ron Rivera did. So it's all goes back to Andy Reid. He's the godfather of all. So.
Yeah, thankfully he's not in your division anymore, right?
You know what? It's kind of a funny joke. I still think that Patrick Mahomes will be a commander in 15 years because Andy Reid just he just fleeces us. But we got Donovan McNabb with no, as he expired with his talent. Then we got Alex Smith, who was okay. We gave up a significant amount of capital to get him.
Yeah, way more than I wanted to give up.
And Kendall Fuller, who we got back, but it's just a matter of time before he tries to get us again. So who knows?
Yeah, that'll be interesting. In 15 years, I'll mark the date.
Hopefully, Sam Howell will still be under center.
Yeah, that'd be good for you guys. Talking about Sam Howell, what do you think? What do you see his stat lines being in this game? Like, what do you see? Like, I know with it being wet on the ground, and you guys probably gonna try to do the run, but like, I looked at his stats. I mean, I think because your guys' run game is so solid that he doesn't have to throw that much. And like you said, he's been passing the ball around and stuff like that. So what do you kind of see from like what are you expecting out of Sam Howell for this game?
Go ahead, Phil.
Well, I'll start with saying that he threw the ball more than we expected.
Way more.
Especially in the first game. He threw 30 passes in the first half, but then he only threw 9 the rest of the game. But his passes in the second half were all when you needed them to happen kind of plays. And there were also, bigger chunk plays as well with a couple screens that went for 20, 30 yards. He had the 30-yard touchdown to McLaurin. I mean, I think he'll go out there. He'll get 20-some completions off of 30-some attempts. If it's a close game, the way I'm predicting, he'll get his 20-some completions, 30-some attempts. He'll have 270 yards or so, spread the ball around, and he'll have a touchdown or two. He may or may not have an interception. He's thrown 1 interception in 2 of his 3 career games, but that's only 3 career games. It was only 1 pick each game. Could he have another one this game? Maybe. One thing I don't see him doing is fumbling the ball. He seems to be very good about that for a QB who can scramble. Even though he scrambles a lot more for first downs and such in the preseason, he tends to stay more in the pocket when the games count. Only runs when he needs to. But I've never seen him lose the ball. He's very secure with that. So I will say that if you're looking to get a turnover out of the hands of Sam Howell, it's probably going to be through the air, not flushing him out of the pocket and having him scramble. Now, then again, I say that, and I've been known to make statements like that in the very next game it happens. So,
yeah, for me, I would say a success would be 250 to no interceptions, maybe 30 rushing yards. Granted, he doesn't have that many even on the season, but his scramble so far, he has some wheels. A lot of people don't know that. The dude can run. And he runs not designed runs, but he runs when the pocket folds and he needs to. He's scrambling for 2 first downs so far. So for me, I think, 252, 30 rushing yards. The Buffalo defense is pretty stout, at least so far this year. You played Zach Wilson and you played Jimmy G, but the amount of yards you guys have given up, you only gave up 2 touchdowns, passing touchdowns. So for me to go out and say Sam can throw 2 and be successful, I think that's pretty fair given the fact that you've only given up 2 the whole year so far.
I mean, I'd love to see him break 300. I'm just trying to be realistic.
Of course.
What do you think, Evan? What do you think Sam Howell's going to do against the Bills?
I actually think this game might be like one of the best games of the week. I think people don't understand how good the Commanders team is. And I also think that there's this thing that goes on when teams are really, really good. And I think people forget that only one team wins a Super Bowl every year, and only 4 teams go to the respective conference championships every year. So when you look at a team like the Bills, I think people forget how good the Bills really still are as a roster. So I think it's going to settle somewhere in the middle. I think Howell will play well, but I think this is going to be more of a test of how efficient can he play? Can he make the right decisions? I don't see the stat lines being super crazy, but I'm looking to see how efficient he plays. This is not a question of can he run. Everyone knows he can run. A lot of people don't know this. He broke like the second most tackles of any player in college football or some shit like that his final year in college football. The dude can run, legitimate threat to run. Like you guys said, doesn't turn the ball over a lot. I'm thinking probably anywhere between 200, 250 yards through the air. The Bills linebackers are really stepping up and playing good, so I'd be surprised if he, really gashes them, but don't be surprised if he picks up some first downs. His feet could be a deciding factor. People forget some of the best running quarterbacks don't gash everyone like Lamar does. It's like Mahomes. Can you extend the play and get those first downs when you need them, when you need to? I expect him to have a good game, but there's a lot of good veteran players on this team, especially defensive backs from the Bills. Both the safeties are still 2 of the best in the league. You got White, a bunch of young corners. So I expect him to have a respectable game. It's really going to come down, his performance is going to come down to, hey, this isn't a test of your overt skill. It's managing the game and making the right decisions with the football. That's going to be, and I think he could do that. So yeah, I'd say maybe 200, 250 yards through the air. And I agree that if he does turn the ball over, it's going to be, making a bad decision to throw an interception. Dude's pretty savvy on the floor. So I could talk about Sam Howell for days. So it's whatever.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna add this to the conversation because this is something that I keyed on big beginning of the off season, and this is something that you may get to see firsthand on TV. If you've ever seen someone who looks like the personification of their heart pumps ice water, it is Sam Howell. You just look at the man's eyes. There's never panic. There's never fear. There's never worry.
So sweet.
He's got that sniper, it's all business to him.
Composed, yeah.
And I have not seen that in a Washington quarterback. Keep going. I mean, you go before Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins throw a pick, head down. RG3, same thing. If he turned the ball over or something, head down. None of that was Sam Howell. It's almost eerie. He's almost like the Terminator. He just keeps coming at you. That kind of mentality, and you kind of see it. If he has a bad play, a bad series, goes to the bench, looks at the film, looks at the Surface tablet that Ken Dorsey didn't smash, and gets right back on the field next series like nothing happened. He just keeps coming at you with the same intensity, the same play, any adjustments he needs to make, he seems to make them. So, yeah, I mean, he's still young. He's going to make mistakes. But I have not seen somebody with just that stone cold 1,000-yard stare in a long time in this organization under center. And I think that says a lot to his mindset.
Like Burrow-esque? Like
I think Burrow actually shows it more than Howell does. And I've been bringing this up, and people are and the fan base are starting to pick up on it too. Like, it's like, if you've ever met someone who was a sniper in the military and like really saw some shit. Sorry, I don't know if I can cuss on this podcast or not, but there you go.
nothing.
There's your demonetization right there. If you've ever met someone like that, just got that real distant look, like they're not looking at you, they're looking through you, beyond you. I see a lot of that in Sam Howell, and it's strange to see that out of somebody that young.
It's a flow state.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you brought up Kirk Cousins, which was interesting because I've said that about Kirk Cousins too. Chad and I were saying on my channel, I feel bad for a guy like Kirk Cousins because I think there's a level of, when you see the work that guy puts in, there's a level of like the fear of failure overcomes Kirk Cousins. And the feel of failure is a very real thing. Like, he wants to win so bad. He puts in so much work that he just gets frazzled and overwhelmed. And like you said, hangs his head, gets overly emotional. And I agree. Dude, Sammy Howell's in that killer flow state, dude, the Washington Psycho, the DC Psycho.
Also, shout out to my brother. He put a comment in here. He said if Knox and Cook have a good game, we're going to be in for something special.
Yeah, I said this on our show last night, but to me, I still think a dual threat tight end set is unguardable. And we haven't seen it since Gronk and Hernandez. Not even close. You cannot guard it. And if you have one other capable wide receiver run, it's a mismatch all day. And you guys have the potential for that with Diggs, Kincaid, and Knox, unless you trade one of them next year.
Yeah, it's hard to find linebackers that can cover.
100%.
So that's why it's such a tough mismatch, and safety's big enough to deal with them when they get put on them. It's tough.
Yep. And then when you throw a corner on them, they'll just run the ball. And then they'll just get dominated at the line. So.
We in DC screamed about that for years because we literally had Vernon Davis and Jordan Reed at the same time on the same team, and Jay Gruden and his drunken self would not put together a 2 tight end package to save his life.
Never.
And like, why? You have 2 guys at tight end who are super athletic and can catch the ball, and both would produce just separately. I'm like, put them on the field together.
You know, happened to him that Dorsey was, as soon as we got that tight end, was already drawing up 12 personnel plays.
I believe it.
It's like
you're a smart offensive coordinator, you do.
I think there was a stat that said the Bills ran 12 personnel, like less than 6% last year. And this year they've ran it like more than 50% already throughout the year.
I mean, the fullback is unfortunately an almost dead position in this league now. You've gone to the 2 tight end and H-back.
And we still have one in Gilliam, which is he's pretty good. He's had a touchdown, I think, every 1 or 2 touchdowns a year on the spot.
We have one as well, actually. He doesn't see the field much because the situations haven't called for him. But we have a real nice fullback in Alex Arma, big dude, like 250-pound plus fullback. And and we're a franchise that, because of our history, we're very familiar with the 2 tight end and the tight end H-back sets because our coach basically invented that in Joe Gibbs. He invented that the whole H back, the 2 tight end sets in the early '80s. And he would he went to that to stop Lawrence Taylor. That was a whole point of that. Whole point of having the 2 tight ends was to stop Lawrence Taylor on the outside, to be able to chip him constantly and not take the other tight end out of things. So you'd have one tight end who blocked and one tight end who could catch the ball. Yeah. So we're familiar with that. So yeah, as a fan base. So personally, I know Steve, tight end is probably his favorite position on the field. He loves. He's the president of the Logan Thomas fan club.
Yeah.
So you ever notice that whenever we talk about y'all's 2 tight end sets, he lights up. So do I, because I wish we could have some of that. It would be nice to see it. We have seen it a little bit this season. Running Logan Thomas and John Bates. John Bates is more of a blocker, and now we get to see Cole Turner, see if he can do all the things that we've hoped he could at 6'6", 6'7", with soft hands, to see if he can take that spot from Logan.
Yeah. Oh, so I'm gonna move into. I'm gonna show some of my. I'll put some parlays in for this game. I mean, I put one. I like doing both, one through FanDuel, one through DK. But talking about those, I was. So if you watched the game yesterday, I'm not sure if you caught the whole thing. I was watching, excited bet on it. I need the Giants to get Slayton 8 more yards receiving, just 8, and then I needed the 2 dropped passes that Waller had to be caught, and I would have won $1,000 off $10. I was so pissed. And then what made me mad was because, yes, they're down by 16. They're not going to win the game, but you pull the starters at 240 with the timeout or so. You just pull them, and you throw Darnold out there. I'm like, I have never seen something like that. Or like, it's not like they were down by 30. You know what I mean? Like, give Jones a chance to show that he can do that, to give him the confidence in himself that he goes, hey, I can score in a 2-minute situation. Nope.
I just got paid.
Scratch that. If you had done that, I would have won $1,000 last night. Guaranteed Waller gets 2 catches, and Slayton gets 8 yards at least. So, anyways, enough of that rant. I was just upset about that yesterday. But you're muted, Ev.
Side note, I'm so sick. There's one fan base I'm sick of, and it's the friggin' Giants fans. Sorry to go off on a side tangent, but like, dude, I'm so sick of Giants fans because I've never found a fan base that. I think it's because of the way they won their most recent Super Bowls, where like, oh, we're underdogs and shit, whatever, and like we don't have as much. Yeah, like all that shit, like it's like some fucking Friday Night Lights, like fucking Any Given Sunday bullshit, right? And ever since their last Super Bowl, they have been absolute dog shit. And if you actually if you take their Super Bowls, like if you look into the years they haven't won Super Bowls, record-wise and franchise-wise, they're like one of the worst franchises ever. Like when you look at the years they weren't winning Super Bowls. And like, I've never known fans. I got tons of fans at work, buddies at work that are Giants fans. One of my best friends is, and they just can't be honest about how untalented their football team is right now. Like they had an easy schedule last year and then beat a team that overachieved that's not good in the Vikings. And then, dude, they're all acting like they're going to fucking win the division this year and shit. And it's like, dude, that team's so bad. They rested players last night or the other night. Was it last night? Because they knew they were going to get rolled. And then the 49ers didn't even play all their starters because they knew they didn't need to. They would roll them.
Evan, you tell no lies. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with
I'm sick of
Spaces. Twitter Spaces is where you can talk to people in Twitter, and they hold these rooms, and everyone just uses their audio. And after the game, all of us Commanders fans, we jumped into the Giant Spaces, and all they're doing is, oh, it's okay. We still got this. We still have a great team. We played hard. It was the Niners. What do you expect? We weren't supposed to win. And then every time a Giants fan would get up and say, hey guys, you ever think the fact that we just suck this year? the majority of the group would just dogpile and be like, no, don't say that. We're a good team. Jones is a great quarterback. And it's like, come on, read the room. Like, it's okay to say you're not a good team, but you're like you said, they can't say it, and I don't know why.
Yeah, like I got one of my best friends, and Chad knows, and we all grew up together. Is the epitome of the delusional Giants fan, and like I try to just break down to him every which way than Sunday why his team is just garbage. Like their corners are bad, their linebackers are bad, their defensive line strong, their offensive line besides one player is garbage, their wide receivers are garbage, like their running backs hurt all the time. They paid $40 million a year to the wrong guy. It's like,
yep.
It's like I don't get it. I don't know what it is with them, and I have a hard time saying it because I've been a Bengals fan since I was 12. The Bengals are absolutely been dog shit most of the time. I mean, they've had some competitive teams, but God, since the year I was born up until recently, they'd never even won a playoff game. So I have a hard time shitting on teams sometimes. But dude, the Giants fans, like last night, I was like in stitches because they had guys that could have played and they sat them because they knew they were going to get smacked around, which they did. They were a little competitive for a second there, but they still got smacked around. And then the 49ers didn't even play some of their players because they knew they were going to win. And I'm like, dude, these Giants fans are delusional anyways. I'm sorry. That's just fucking anytime we talk about the Giants, I just get like amped up.
So I got another comment. My brother's just listening to this, I guess. Because if we're talking about fans let's talk about Eagles fans.
They're pretty bad too.
Phil can relate to this comment though.
To the Bills.
They're pretty bad too.
I got a story.
Suited up in Bills gear, and I'm probably gonna get jumped. I already know he's gonna plan to go to this game. He lives in Jersey, so he's only an hour or two away from there. So the stadium, anyways. And I was like, if he's doing that, I might have to make a trip if I can. So that'd be fun.
So yours truly, 2015. It's week 16. We're going to go play Philly for the division. And we won the game. But I was at that game and was at the link. And I was in full burgundy and gold because F Philly.
Hell yeah.
But I walked in there. I met one cool Philly fan, and he was from Arlington, Virginia. So he's not even a Philly native. He just happened to be there. And I was talking to him, I was like, he says, well, I'm originally from Arlington. I was like, no wonder I could talk to you. If you're native to Philly, you're not even, you're subhuman. I mean, it's hard to have a conversation with you. So we go up ahead, and this is Kirk Cousins' breakout year, and you like that was the chant. So we're, I'm chanting that to a couple fans about 10 rows back. All of a sudden, a full beer comes flying over my shoulder from somewhere, and then a full bag of popcorn came in. They started doing and it's funny because the Philly fan who was like 2 seats over me says, I just hate when opposing teams' fans come here and can't show any class. I said, really?
Yeah.
I said, you're from Philly. It's like, you don't know anything about class. I mean, I just started getting straight up ignorant at this point. They started doing, the entire section starts doing the asshole chant at me. Asshole, asshole. I got up, I started doing this. Because, again, F Philly. They made the game close. I go to the bathroom right when they took possession of the ball, and then Nick Foles fumbles the ball, and D'Angelo Hall picks it up, runs it in for a touchdown. We're up 2 scores. And I see this on the TV as I'm about to go to the bathroom. And this short guy, and he was probably wider than he was tall, in an Eagles jersey, starts bowing up to me like he wants to fight.
It's like, it's a game, man.
He said something like, I want to kick your ass. He said something like, I want to kick your ass or something like that. I looked down at him. I said, you couldn't jump that high. And then his buddy looked at him, looked at me, grabbed him and went, no, and pulled him away. Dude was obviously drunk. But I'm at the urinal now, like looking over my shoulder, like this dude's going to jump me. But the worst part was that we won the game. We were on the Eagles side of the field, second deck. We're coming down and around because we want to go high five some of the players and everything else. I was there with my chick at the time, her son, my son. Our kids are high fiving anybody in burgundy and gold because, hey, we just won the division, right? And they're excited. And some Eagles fan looks at us and literally says, I hope your whole family dies in a fiery car accident on the way home.
That's what they do.
I turned around and I said, but we'll die champions. And I gave him the bird and I kept walking. But it's just like, it was the Link is such an overrated stadium. I paid $64 for 4 cheesesteaks, and this is in 2015, folks. This is before inflation got really big. And they were the driest, just most absolute dog crap Philly cheesesteaks I've ever had. And I'm in Philly, and I got them from a food truck. I didn't go to the stadium. I thought I'd get them from a food truck. It should be good, right? No. Everything about that city is overrated. It's garbage. I will rant on Philadelphia all day long. And Giants fans have now become almost to that level. And the biggest thing I say to Giants fans is F John Mara. F him. Hate the guy.
I'll agree with my brother down there. Obviously, Bills Mafia is big, but we generally we'll say if we see someone like Patriots or like F you, and things like that, but it's like we're not like it's not as aggressive as like we're like the old Oakland Raider fans, where they you come out with slash tires in your car.
Bills fans are aggressive in their positivity towards their own team.
Yeah,
they're mad aggressive in their positivity.
That was a good game. That shit sucked for us, but hey, you guys keep going. I mean,
let me tell you something. The best experiences I've had, Chad. How many Bills games we've gone to together? I've rolled in there with all my Cincinnati gear on more than one occasion. Everyone's nice to me.
Yeah,
everyone's nice to me.
Evan almost had to square. My dad.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple times because Chad liked to talk shit to people.
My dad had this friggin' my dad had like colon cancer, so he had his 2 bags and everything on him. We went to a Bills game. We both friggin' all 3 of us downed a 6-pack apiece before we went in there, and then we got beers when we got in there and everything. And towards the end of the game, I forgot who was talking smack, but my dad to Evan. I think it was Bills fan. He was talking, and my dad stepped up because he was a Marine. He did all that stuff. So he stood up like he was about to beat the guy's ass for Evan.
Well, hold on though. That was the only time a Bills fan was ever mean to me, right? But what's great about that story has nothing to do with the football. Is the fact that I already loved your dad to death, and obviously Chad's father's passed away. Diehard Bills fan, right? But that just showed me how much of a gangster your dad was, because your dad's on death's doorstep. He's got shit hooked up to him because he's got cancer. I'm ready to fight 3 dudes, and your dad's rolling up behind these dudes ready to start throwing hands when he could barely we could barely get them in the stadium. I'm like, Daryl Cooper's a fucking savage, dude. That dude was a fucking savage. I loved that dude. Fucking ready to throw down at a Bills game until he's about to go, dude. Fucking animal.
The best part about football for that situation, there's an old, she was probably 67-year-old lady sitting next to us, and middle of the game, she takes out a bottle, a little plastic bottle of liquor with plastic shot cups, and she goes, "You want one?" It's well, if you're offering, I'm definitely going to take one. It's you meet people like that where it's I've liked those games, but a little sidetrack. But I'm going to throw my bets up real quick.
All right.
Sorry to cut you off. You can say what you're saying. I'm going to throw my stuff up real quick.
Well, I was going to say that our problem, it's funny because one of the big stories came out of our week 1 was a fight that happened in the stands. We were playing the Cardinals at 1:00. The Ravens were playing at 1:00. There were Ravens fans in our stadium. We're like, why are you here? And one of them got drunk and started a fight, and he ended up catching a 6-piece fist McNugget in the face from one of our fans. And then they of course, our media cuts the video just to him getting punched. And like he's trying to play the victim. And I'm like, I've seen the whole video. It's all over Twitter. This dude literally put his hands on someone first. And then somebody was trying to pull him away. One of our fans trying to pull the guy away from the situation, like, dude, you need to get out of here. You're drunk. He falls on top of one of our guys, and I guess I don't know what another one of our fans just saw it. I guess they saw him fall on our guy.
Yeah,
He comes up and just lays
because his arms were secured behind him.
His
so he
arms
just
were behind his
sat
back.
there. It
And
took it.
this one of our guys just lands 6 quick little short hooks. Well, 5 of them landed into our guy, into the Ravens fan. One of them hit on one of our fans, but I mean, he took it, and the dude was punch drunk after that. They got him up, and he's just stumbling everywhere, and he's still trying to fight. It's like
Jesus.
But it's like, why are Ravens fans in full purple regalia showing up to a Commanders-Cardinals game when their team is playing 30 miles up the road at the same time?
Tickets are too expensive. I don't know. It's wild.
It's like, I think opposing teams fans for so long.
Not even same conference.
Well, you see, opposing teams fans for so long have felt comfortable coming into FedEx Field because our fans weren't showing up anymore. And that's changed with the new ownership.
Oh, yeah. I remember last year they showed. I laughed at the picture. It was like a meme of like your guys' training camp. There was like 4 lawn chairs up.
I will note that picture was like 3 hours before camp started, though.
But I was just laughing because I'm like, I feel bad because I know this is a big fan base here, but it's like it's comical,
They had 10,000 people come out for training camp every day this year.
Yeah, I figured, but I was like, that's just comical because it's like I said, you were known before for like the stadium that didn't fill itself in a sense.
Oh yeah.
So I get it. So but anyway, we can go over this real quick. This was my more I guess this is my more drastic one where I went a little bit deep with the anytimes, and even with James with Cooks because I think he can get that, but I just went a little bit. It was it's a $5 no sweat, so I could get my money back anyway. But I got Antonio Gibson. I checked him up. He hasn't done much lately. He's got a couple passes here and there. He hasn't ran much, but I feel like this is the game if the field's wet, that he's going to get like a screen or something out, and he's going to make someone miss, and he's going to get in the end zone when you're like 15 yards away.
He did that against y'all a couple years ago for 70 plus yards.
Yeah, like I said, I just see it. I see that happening. And for Kincaid, he dropped his pass last week in the end zone, so he's going to get one this week. I think they're trying to get him in there.
These are some interesting single game parlays for sure.
And what did you lay on this? 10?
I put $5 on this.
5 pays out 20.
Oh, 5? No, this is plus 20K. So
okay.
I put
okay.
$5.
Got it.
I put $5. This is going to pay out $1,000.
Yep, I see it. Times 20 multiplier. Yep, got it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna I went on the lower end. I put Allen over 225 just in case the weather's bad. I think he's still gonna get that. And that might be even a lot of short passes with a lot of yak, And then I said Cook's over at 80 plus. I think that can happen with that game plan. They're going to have him out in the field. He's going to be getting the first and second down runs. He's going to break out one for 20 or plus more. So it's not unreasonable. But that plus over 79.5 was like plus 300. So I was like, I'm already going risky throwing Gibson on this. So
4+ for Davis is probably the one that I'm looking at. Like maybe not. It just really depends on the flow of the game. Yeah,
4+ receptions. I looked at the average, and he's been averaging 4 or more the first 2 games. And I think you guys are going to try to stop Diggs after he gets a couple. And like I said, I kind of try to. I put I put 2 in because you notice like I just put different things on each side for kind of each game plans I think is going to go through. And
Yeah, I don't sleep on our corners though, because we do have 3 really good ones between, and they all play different styles. So you can match them up however you want. But between Kendall Fuller, Emmanuel Forbes, and Benjamin St. Just, that's 3 solid corners. That's why I said that's probably, to me, that's your riskiest proposition. Not even the Dalton Kincaid one. I could see that happening because tight ends always seem to get a touchdown against us. For some reason, linebackers, but
I don't know why I like that 4+ for him because he's been not doing as much like straight routes. He's been trying to do more like 10 and outs and things like that. Where like in the short passing game, like I think last game he had like 6 catches for like 80 something yards, where he had some yak after them, obviously. But like I said, I understand that.
yeah, if he's running the short routes, then yeah, that's a safer bet. If they're trying to stretch the field with him a lot, I don't know if that's gonna be a close one for you. The other ones, though, I generally like all of them. Brian Robinson.
I mean, Brian Robinson for over. I stepped back. I didn't go for the plus. I just took the 54.5 just to be safe. I mean, I already have a couple high end ones. It's not going to affect. It's just adding an extra one in there at this point.
Yeah.
I got one more.
Let's see it.
This is my more reasonable, and I say reasonable because I just think you guys are gonna get. I think Diggs is gonna get his catches, and you guys are gonna try to lock him down, and then Davis will get at least 40 yards.
McLaurin over 4.5 is an interesting one because of the way we spread the ball around.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
And I was trying to see I go off of fantasy football because I have it. I just go off of how many receptions and things I have, and I think you guys are gonna. I know we're gonna focus on them, but I think we're gonna be focusing on the run in the beginning, and I think even if we get a lead. Far enough lead, you're going to have to start passing. And if we're starting to stuff the run, you're going to have to start passing to him. And I think he's going to take advantage of the field and hopefully, like I said, 4.5 didn't seem like too high for him because he's been around that each game. I think he was around 4 to 6 each game. So I felt comfortable enough with that. But yeah, I went a little bit more. This is my more odder ones, but and I even took. Yeah,
I'm gonna have to start sending you mine so we can compare.
Do you like this one yet? What do you think?
No, I agree with them about them spreading the ball. The reception ones are always interesting ones to me. I almost won $400 the other night on the Panthers game. I needed one little thing left over to happen, and it didn't happen. But one of mine was I took. To me, I feel like in today's league, receptions are a way for you to get some sneaky money. I took Thielen to get 3.5 receptions. He had it in 10 plays.
Yeah, and I like my touchdowns too here. I think if we get close, we even put in Latavius Murray in there as the big back at over Harris, which is surprised to me. I thought Harris would be that back right away. And then I think your running back's going to get in the end zone once.
I like everything on this except for Gabriel Davis. I like the corners for the Commanders big time, and Davis kind of tends to play at his best when obviously Diggs is playing really well, and then the corners on him aren't as good in comparison. I like all 3 of the St. Juice is underrated. That might be tougher than you think for Gabriel Davis to get over 41.5 yards. He's very touchdown dependent, I feel like.
Let me ask this about Gabriel Davis. How does he play? How does he fare against physical corners? Corners who can come up and jam.
He's decent because he's a big guy. He's 6'8", He's 6'4", pretty.
Yeah, but there's some guys who are big, but their big is their length. It's not their physical ability. That's why
Yeah, I think he's like 6'1", 220.
He's big. He's big, and
Okay.
I think he plays pretty well against that level, like a more physical corner.
Because
But,
St. Juice is 6'3".
Yeah,
and
it's
205.
that's my thing is I don't think Gabriel Davis is that great of a route runner, and you kind of need to be when you go up against like those big physical corners. You got to be able to get off the line of scrimmage against them, get into open field, and make plays off the cut. I feel like it's a bad matchup for Davis. That's my only little hiccup in this one. I like the touchdowns.
Yeah,
I like
the McLaurin one. The McLaurin one is the one that I'm looking at as kind of dicey on this one. I'll tell you why. In 3 games with Sam Howell, McLaurin has 3 catches for 74 yards, 2 catches for 31, and 5 for 54. So, like I said, Howell loves to spread the ball around.
It'd be tough.
for sure.
So it's gonna be tough to get.
That's why it's parlay, right?
What's
Sammy Howell, let's go.
I just see him getting fed this game. I don't know why. I've had some weird things where like it's like that Mahomes game, that first Thursday night game. I just feel without Chris Jones, without having Kelsey, I put Mahomes for 40+ rushing yards. That smacked it, and that was like one of the high end ones of those. And I was like, I just see that happening. Like he's gonna. I also put him on for a touchdown because I thought he'd get close and just they wouldn't think he'd run it in, and he almost did, but he slid down a little bit before. But I've been almost hitting these 6 legs by missing one, and it's just I'm gonna pick one. I'm gonna hit one of these and get $2,000 one of these nights.
Oh yeah, it's coming.
Like I said, even the last one I had was like it was pretty. I mean, let me see if I can snag it. It was pretty dicey what I had on there, and I had a Debo touchdown.
Chad, were you in the positive last season in terms of your bets?
Yeah, because I only had to win one of them. But I had let me see. I had Debo for an anytime, Matt Breida for an anytime, which hit, which I was happy about. Debo for over 60 receiving yards. The Slayton one screwed me because I had 39.5 for him. He had 32, so I was close. And then Waller for 5+ receptions. He dropped 2 at the end, and I was not happy. But I edged my 49ers final spread to like 13.5. I contemplated 20. I was like,
I'm not off to the best start this year. Last year I did pretty well between football and MMA. Spent like 900 to make almost 5,000. I'm not off to the best start through the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, but like
rough little patch these last 2 weeks.
Like those, just showing you that's where like I do more of like a high, like a low risk, high reward. Where these are all likely, and that's the most frustrating thing with NFL. It's like it's so hard to hit. Like once you go over 3, it's so hard to hit your mark.
No, you're not wrong about that.
But what I'm going to do from now on is I'm going to use the money I get back from my I guess no risk bet. I'm just going to take that bonus and just put it towards an easy 2-3 leg same game parlay.
House money. There you go.
Exactly, and just get money just to put back into it. But yeah, that's it for that. But I got just one last thing, and we can get you guys out of here. Sorry if I'm taking you guys up too much time. Well, 2 just score predictions, but hot takes. I like this because it gets you into the wishful thinking where like I would love it if this happened type of concept. You know what I mean? Where it gets you into more of a not fantasy world, but in a sense where you're like and it's somewhat not even realistic because it's like it's a hot take. It's like if this happens, that's great. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. Tips and stuff. For example, my hot takes were. Let's see where this. I have with this game being how like weather based and our run game coming up. Hot take: Bills run game total 200 plus yards.
Ooh.
I don't think, like I said, it's unrealistic, but that's a hot take where it's not that I can't see it not happening if the running backs go well, because we just had one go for 130, and if Allen actually tries to run the ball, you know what I mean? Then his passing will be down, and all my bets will be a shit, but I'll be happy if they win like that. So, and the pass rush finally gets home, and they get 3+ sacks on Howell. And fun fact, the Bills, they have like, I think there's like 3 or 4 players on like the defensive line that have like 20, like a 20% pressure rate or something like that at the moment, obviously. But so I would like to see that, and that's kind of like a slow burning ember. That's not really bad, but like considering we have 1.5 sacks right now, that's big.
Yeah.
So that's like a hot take. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the pressure, we just have to finish. And I think Collins can get rid of the ball early and quick if that happens, like at the end of the Broncos game. But if he doesn't, and he holds onto the ball at the first half, he's going to get some sacks.
Okay. My hot take, I'll say Commanders get 4 sacks on Josh Allen. They lead the NFL in all sacks right now with 10. I think they're tied with maybe Dallas or somebody else. I'm not sure.
Game.
Yeah. And hot take. Whether Josh Allen tries to do a lot. So I'll say 4 sacks on Josh Allen would be pretty awesome if that happened.
Here you go. This one's for everybody back home in DC. Sam Howell says, F this. I've got 3 games under my belt. Watch me. And goes off for 350 and 3 touchdowns. And he says, Mother Nature can't stop me, and neither can the Bills defense. And just goes off. I would love to see that, especially against a team as lauded as the Bills. Like, for him to have that real breaking out, coming out game, 4 quarters of just lighting up an opposing team's defense. Do I see it happening? Not in this game, not with these elements, but would I love to see it happen? And is it possible? Yeah, I think he's talented enough to do it. So I would love to see that, have him have those like Tua stat lines, have him put up, the 350 and the 3 touchdowns. I'd love to see it. That would be the ultimate for me. I would just love to see him just truly break out, because I think right now the national media is kind of looking at him like, okay, this kid might not be bad. Okay, he's a gamer, he's a baller. All right, he's not Taylor Heineke. Thank God.
40 yards.
He actually leads his receivers. He doesn't just chuck it up and hope they catch it. But Steve so wishes he had the Taylor Heineke sounder that he has on his soundboard for every time I bash him. There it is.
Yeah.
But anyway, that would be the offensive hot take. Defensively, we have multiple picks off of Josh Allen. Now that's asking a lot, but with our pass rush, you get home close enough, get a couple tip balls up in the air, anything can happen. But that one I think is actually probably even the taller task. Task is to get a quarterback as talented as Josh Allen to throw multiple picks in a game. But I'd love to see that happen, just because our defense very good at getting pressure, doesn't force a lot of interceptions. They're much better about forcing fumbles. So I like to see some actual picks. I can't remember when was the last time we. Well, I'm sorry. I was going to say, when was the last time we had a pick 6? And I remember Dallas end of the season last year. So I like to see that again. But those are the things that I think could happen, but not likely to happen. But Would be nice if they did. It would certainly help us win.
Definitely.
You know,
Yeah.
Chad,
Neutral.
we're trying to force this new saying here in DC with Sam Howell is unleash the howitzer.
Load
He's a
the
military
howitzer.
guy. Load the
Fire
howitzer.
the howitzer.
Got a cannon to go with it. So
14 cannon, bro.
let's hope it, for our sake, let's hope it works out. But
Dude, I've been telling everyone since day one, dude, he's the truth. You'll see.
Yeah, I was on that early. I know a lot of people were like, really? And I was saying, I was saying the preseason last year, I was like, we don't even need Heineke. Let's just cut him. Let's make Howell the backup behind. You can tell what my feelings are on that guy, but nonetheless, yeah. I mean, I was that high on him that I thought he could have been the number 2 to start the season last season, and then just let him kind of sit behind Carson Wentz and learn an offense. And unfortunately, it didn't go that way, but it's going that way now. And kid's a gamer, love it.
Okay, I think that's gonna be it for us, guys. I don't have much people on my channel, but obviously, just give a shout out to how they can get to your channel.
We're doing some predictions.
Oh, predictions! That's right.
I was thinking the same thing.
I actually changed mine, by the way. I with the healthy Bills. So
This guy's losing by 21 now. Watch this.
no, it's not that drastic. Come on. If I was thinking that, I made my parlays after that, I would have definitely took the spread. It would have been healthier for my money wise. But I took I got Bills 31, Washington 20. And it only changed my touchdown. And I think with having Knox in there and having the better 12 personnel, it's going to give the Bills another chance to score a touchdown like that, or to get down the field one more time, or to convert a would-be like field goal. You know what I mean? And having Micah Hyde back there and Leonard Floyd, that was my worrisome before, where if we don't have Micah Hyde back there as a safety and Floyd as a defensive end opposite, I mean, it would have been trouble, but it could have been. And that's what now in the back, that's gone. Now we have 2 good defensive ends, at least on each side, that's going to be able to come in and make that pressure on Howell. And then on top of it, we have Knox, who's going to be able to duo with Kincaid and have you decide who's going to be blocking and who's going to be going out this time. So that's what I have for that. That's why my only reason why I updated it, because I still think you guys are going to get that 20 points, which it's not saying it's a lot, but like you guys reached 35 against. What was the team? The
Denver
Broncos,
and they have a good defense too. But I don't know. I think this is what the game laid out for it. So I just think our defense has been pretty stout. I mean, granted, we faced the Raiders, but so that's not really a huge test. So I don't know. And obviously the Rodgers-less freaking Jets that we lost to. So, But yeah, I just feel like you guys are going to at least get that. And I just think the Bills are just going to do better than I thought they were. That's just going off of the injury report alone.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and say this. I do actually have the Bills pulling this one out. However, I do think that the elements are going to keep the score a little bit closer and a little bit lower overall. But I am still taking the over on this one. So I have Bills winning 24-22. This is going to be a tight one. I think Bills fans are going to sweat this one a little bit. There is going to be some elevated blood pressure in northern and upstate New York for sure.
Yeah, I'm also I got the Bills winning this one. Also with a close one, 23-20. The Commanders will cover. There's 6.5. I'm going with the under. I know the over-under is 43.5, so I'm going right at the under at 43. I got 23-20 Bills.
What do you think, Gus? As an outsider, doesn't really care about the game.
To keep it short, I also have the game 23-20. I think it could go either way. I think it's going to be a field goal game. Again, like I said, Bills are really good. I don't think people understand how good the Commanders are. For me, I think the key in the matchup is going to come down to both teams don't have the best offensive lines. It's going to be whose pass rush can get to who more early and often and force the quarterbacks to be inefficient. Whoever quarterback makes the most mistakes. I think that's what's going to determine the game. Field goal game, boys. Sammy Howell, Offensive Player of the Year this year. Let's go. Let's do it.
God, do I want that to be the case, man. but been on this kid since day one. Like, I think he's the future. So yeah, I mean, I'm glad that the word is getting spread slowly but surely that hey, Washington's got a quarterback. If he is 6 feet tall, even. He's Drew Brees. He's Drew Brees, but thicker. Pause.
My comp for him was a slightly slower, not as physically gifted Russell Wilson. That was my comp him coming out of college.
Yeah, he's not as fast as Russ, but he may have a stronger arm.
That's similar play styles.
Yeah, that stat that they have about they measure how quickly the revolutions of the ball come off your hand at the combine. When you throw a spiral, how quickly and how tight that spiral is. Sam Howell holds that record in the combine. He throws the fastest spinning ball ever measured at the NFL combine. Now, granted, that's not going back that far with that level of technology, but far enough to make you go,
Yeah, he definitely has a howitzer. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So that's your obscure stat for the day right there.
I mean, some of the reporters are saying, obviously they don't know, but they're putting him at the second strongest arm behind Josh Allen in the league now.
Really? Well, wish they would reflect that in Madden ratings.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it used to be between Mahomes and Allen, and if Howell comes in, he's whipping him like that. He can throw it down the field if he's getting that much. At least
his downfield accuracy is pretty crazy and we saw it in the first game he played last year at the end of the season against Dallas. He dropped a 50-yard pass in Terry McLaurin's hands. Terry's streaking down the sideline. So it's 50 yards down the sideline. Terry doesn't even break stride. And we haven't seen that from that far away in a long time. That was the kind of throw we were expecting to see out of Carson Wentz all year last year. And we saw that, and I told people, I said, that's how you're supposed to do that. Normally with Heineke, he throws it up and, it wobbles and it floats. And then our receivers just go up there and just manage to grab the ball in traffic. We don't need that magic. We don't need that, as my least favorite word, moxie.
Anticipatory throwing. Anticipatory throwing.
Yeah. No, and that's the one thing Hal does. His anticipation, as a kid who's played 3 professional games, it's not all pro yet, but it's something that with that arm, it does help him, wait just a hair longer before he lets it go. That's been why he's taking some sacks too. But I think that as time goes on, the more he plays this offense, the more repetition he gets with that arm. I mean, if he gets that anticipation down, man, kid's going to be great.
I'm just curious, as a social media aspect of of Washington, have they had any interviews? As obviously he's known to having a good arm, or they just asked wide receivers they're in camp things and things like that, and they're talking to the players. They go, how is it catching the ball? Is it different with the speeds? How is it catching it now? Are you ramping up that the belt to make sure they come out as quick as they can now? Or I'm not sure how he is with touch with short game.
I haven't heard it. I know what you're talking about. I haven't heard it personally. we had Pierre Garcon on our podcast twice so far, and we tried to get him to say who threw the best ball. It must be a thing with receivers; they won't say who's thrown the best ball, but
I got Anthony Armstrong to say that. But Anthony Armstrong played here when his quarterbacks were Donovan McNabb, post Eagles, Donovan McNabb, Rex Grossman, and John Beck.
Yeah.
Wasn't exactly a stellar lineup, but I got him to say that Grossman was his favorite one to play with.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if it was like a change of pace for them, like going from something like Heineke, where, like, for example, if he sees like if he sees a window throughout, like, between two linebackers, he's gonna have to put oomph on it, like, where, like, are these wide receivers having to ramp up what they're used to catching? You know what I mean? Like, the first time they caught a ball from him, being like, "Ooh, that came in hot. I gotta get used to it."
They say it without insulting the previous guy.
Our
guys are pretty diplomatic about it. Like, there'll be certain words and phrases they'll use where they're complimenting the current quarterback without doing a comparison. But you can kind of tell they are doing a comparison. They're just not outright saying it. Because one thing was this: we don't have, we really don't have diva wide receivers.
Yeah.
Like, they're pretty humble bunch. So they don't.
Up until last week, just like everything else with Sam Howell, it's been very low key until Chase Young came out last week and said, "Oh, we been know he's the guy. He's Sammy Sosa." Up until that comment, everything surrounded Sam Howell has just been super under the radar. Even Kay Adams came out; he was cool as the backside of a pillow because that's what Sam Howell is. It's just been very low key, and then Chase's Young comment was like the most boisterous comment we've heard publicly about Sam Howell. So I like that he floats under the radar. Yeah, that's
just Chase Young. Chase Young is not afraid to open his mouth.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they're just it's all business. Like, it's all just business with these guys, and we're used to just all kinds of leaks and drama and all this other stuff under the previous regime, and you don't get that now. Everybody just shows up to practice and play, and they're just all right. We have next play. We gotta get better. We gotta tighten up. It really, for people like me, I'm 40. I remember the Gibbs era, the first time, and it was never just tons of drama and leaks and all that. Just everybody just showed up because everyone took on the personality of the coach. It's like we just come into work and all that other stuff, and that's happening now again. Where it's you'll hear words come out of their mouth. It's like, are they really this low key, or are they just programmed this way? But it really is, and I think that if nothing else, is a massive strength of this team, that it's all about the coming week. They're looking at nothing else, and I don't think they take anything for granted, especially after the tough first week against the Cardinals. That was unexpected. Nobody knew the Cardinals were going to be tough enough to keep it close against us and go up fast early against the Giants. No one knew they were going to be that good.
Yeah, as my coworker says, watch out for the Cardinals. They're sneaky good right now.
Sneaky aggressive. They play a very aggressive game, and I think they kind of make up for the overall lack of talent, which is they just go balls out.
I'm more on the latter of the Cardinals being good, but that's just me. I
don't think they're that great because
I think they're more middle towards the bottom pack. I don't think they're great. They're going to end up with probably 6 wins, probably 6, 7 wins, maybe.
They're going to catch someone off guard for sure. But
they'll catch the Bengals off guard because they suck.
Almost called the Giants.
It almost caught the Giants. Almost caught us. But I think that actually helps them. I think if they came out and blew out the Cardinals and the Broncos, ego may be coming into play. But I think that nothing has been given. Everything's been earned with these guys. whether it be the first 2 games of this season, whether it be everything with the rebrands and everything else and all the ownership turmoil and everything else. Nothing's been given to these guys. They've had to go out and earn it. Every win, every yard. That builds something. And that does make this team dangerous because now they've got that mentality and they're talented. So, granted, I think the Bills have been built kind of that way. That's why I don't take anything for granted against a team like the Bills. That's why I don't predict us to win. But I do predict it to be close for that exact reason. And I think that the rest of the league is slowly coming around to that realization that, these guys are more than just, game. They're good in their game. So I think that as the season progresses, I think that we have a chance to be really dangerous out there. But we'll see. Injuries happen any given Sunday. All the other cliches come into play.
Oh yeah, definitely. I still think you guys are. I chose you guys to. Granted, with like how Dallas and like Philly's playing, I chose you guys to do better than the Giants this year. So I just think that the dynamic, that top 3. I told when we went through the whole thing. I told Evan, I go, it's going to be that whole division. From top to bottom, depending how the Giants do now, it's going to be like a 5-game window.
Oh yeah,
where it's like tops here, bottoms here, but maybe I think you guys can get 3 teams into the playoffs, maybe. But
I think it's very possible, and that's how I grew up with, the Redskins back in the '80s and the early '90s. It was always a 3 to 4 team race. Always. If you go back and look at the different standings in the old NFC East,
it
was always at least 3 teams really hammering it out and, getting to that 9, 10, 11 win level. So it's nice to see that the East is back, not just, they're going to be battling for a division, but it's all these teams are battling for playoff spots on top of that. The ones that don't win the division still have a good chance to wild card. You kind of saw it last year. We were the worst team in the division last year, and we were 500.
Yeah.
I mean, that should tell you the NFC East is back in a big way. And I think it's going to be
except for the Giants.
Annoying to the rest of the league.
But Giants will bring everyone down.
Yeah, Giants paid $40 million for the worst quarterback in the division.
NFC East is almost back.
Hey, it's better having
this year's Giants are the Phoenix Cardinals of the late '80s, early '90s.
Hey, Jones is almost like the newish Kirk Cousins. He's like the middle of the pack. No, he's like a middle of the pack guy that you pay the money because you don't want to go and have someone less than him.
Yeah, but Kirk's actually good though.
This is good. I'm saying
I can make the argument that the Vikings have done him a disservice not building a good enough football team around him.
Yeah,
I can make that argument.
What I'm saying is for the Vikings, they pay him the money because
because you'd rather have a really good guy or an average guy than a garbage guy, but you got to know where the rubber meets the road in terms of paying any position and be honest about it.
Jones is average or below average, depending on how the season pans out. And right now you're seeing how he's playing without Saquon, which is garbage. So, as you can tell, when he has to throw the ball, it's not that great.
He needs a lot around him to optimize his skill set.
He's the only person who will ever throw 15 touchdowns and get paid $40 million a year the year after. So I don't know.
But if you're a Giants fan, Giants fans subscribe to the fact that all I need my quarterback to do is not turn the ball over. I don't need a good quarterback. We just run the football and play defense. Well, they can't fucking do any of it. So
yes, that's how they won with Phil Simms, who I still think is one of the most overrated quarterbacks in history. But not how you're going to do it with Daniel Jones.
It's a different league, too. It's a different league.
Different league. And Daniel Jones, as much as I say that Phil Simms is overrated, Daniel Jones ain't even Phil Simms. He's not.
Okay, enough shit on the Giants. I mean, we can do it all night. But I'm gonna finish this up. Just give you guys a shout out to where they can find you guys: Instagram, Twitter. I mean, X, you know, and all the fancy stuff. YouTube, obviously.
Yeah, you can find us at mostly social media presence on Twitter or X at @command_this. You can also find us on Facebook, not on Instagram. We are on TikTok a little bit, but on YouTube and where you can find any of your audio podcast platforms. Just search for Command This, and there we will be.
Yeah, I am Mr. _nasty time.
Right here. This.
Yeah.
Got it.
On
That's
YouTube.
Name. I don't know why, but that's
Sponsors, guys. I always
I used to use Twitch, but now all my streaming and all my content is all just on YouTube now. So if you guys go on YouTube or anyone that's interested in my content or my streaming, I've been playing a lot of Starfield lately. So got a bunch of podcast episodes on there, a bunch of football, MMA content, and stuff like that. So man, I'm just gonna keep going with it. I like doing it. Don't got a lot of followers, but I appreciate you guys having me on. Phil, Steve, it's great talking to you guys. It's a good time.
It's a shame Dev wasn't here because I believe Dev is playing a lot of Starfield lately. I know he's mentioned it more than once.
Yeah,
our other co-host. Yeah, he's a gamer compared to the rest of us.
yeah. I've been a big time gamer since I was young. So in the wee hours of the night, when everyone else is asleep, I get my game on. Fun fact before we get off here. My NFC team was always the Redskins growing up. I always rooted for the Redskins. I loved so many of the players on those Redskins. I mean, I'm going to be 33 in a couple hours, actually. But
well, happy birthday to you.
Happy early
thanks, guys. I appreciate it. But some of my favorite players of all time are Redskins fans, like Sean Taylor. Who's the middle linebacker for you guys that was like really good, but he was super short?
London Fletcher.
Fucking loved London Fletcher, dude. Bunch of good Redskins players, man. So yeah, that was always my team back in the day. When I would play Madden, I would always make the Bengals. I'd play an NFC or AFC franchise. I would use the Bengals. I'd play an NFC franchise. I'd use the Redskins. So
appreciate that. I'm glad to see that we didn't lose the respect of everybody in the past 24 years.
And I mean,
didn't Adam Archuleta play for you guys for a little while?
Unfortunately, he was a commentator in last week's game, and I said no wonder our defensive backfield is playing like shit. Adam Archuleta's in the stadium.
That's hilarious. But yeah, a bunch of good players. Clinton Portis, love the colors, the jerseys, all that stuff. But again, thanks for having me on, guys. It was a blast.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you want to chat a little bit after, you have time. I mean, I don't know if you have work or anything going on, but
no, I mean I'm on vacation basically. I mean, I took a bunch of floater days that they told me I had to take, and now I'm on my 7-day. But I have some serious drills coming up next week that are important, but I'm off till then.
Okay. Well, for everyone else watching, we're gonna cut this off right now. That went way over. Sorry, guys, but
Good.
Peace. Go Bills, and obviously I'll give a go Commanders. I mean, I'm curious, you know.
As we always close out our. Hey, I gotta say it before you close out yours. This is how we close out ours. Peace, hail, Curly W.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.